God aften og velkommen til Fronterne mødes. I dag der tager vi et af de rigtig store emner op, nemlig religion. Noget, der ofte giver anledning til diskussioner omkring middagsbordet, i hvert fald hjemme hos mig. Og det gør det helt sikkert også i dag, fordi vi har besøg af en præst, en fra ateistisk selskab, og en tidligere muslim og nu ateist. Og lad mig starte med et spørgsmål til dig, Morten Aagaard.
We have to speak English, right?
Of course. Morten, why don't you tell me a bit about your work at Kirkens Korshær?
Well, Kirkens Korshær is a part of the Danish church, the Danish Folkekirken as it's called, and with a special task to take care of the most vulnerable, the most poor, the most exposed people in society. I sometimes say that the Kirkens Korshær is like a bus driving behind society and picking up all the people who cannot help themselves, who cannot stomach a life, whether it's because they are extremely alcoholic or drug abusers or lonely or mental ill or everything at the same time. Most of them are everything at the same time. We have in Aarhus alone, about 1,500 individual users who come and visit us every month to get food and get sleep or clothes or just comfort or just someone who says, hi, it's nice to see you. Because many people have, are in a situation no one says, hi, it's nice to see you. You can be so alone that no one actually tells you, hi, it's nice to see you. So that's what we do in Kirkens Korshær.
And that sounds very nice, but why do you need a church?
I think for most of our staff, if they did not have the inner purpose of why should I actually spend my life with a poor salary in conditions which are extremely hard and still go to work every day, somehow I think that it's an obligation. For them it's a call, it's an obligation. I think that this is part of what life is supposed to be. Actually doing something good for others. And you can say many people are doing good for others, but to continue that every day, year in and year out, I think you need some extra fuel sometimes. And church can be that extra fuel who says, actually, the purpose of your life and the meaning of life is actually to take care of each other. That's what we call næstekærlighed in the church. Love your neighbor in the church. And of course, that part is very dominant in Kirkens Korshær.
I guess Simon Ørgaard from Ateistisk Selskab, I guess you have something to say about that. Do you really need a church to do social work?
No, I think it's very honorable what you're doing, but I don't see religion as being necessary for doing a charity. Me as an atheist, I am capable of doing good as well, and to take ethical, moral decisions and be a good person. I don't have a religion, but I have a brain. I can think for myself. And I think when you look at religion, what it does, in the big perspective, well, it does some good and it does some bad. And the bad things, unfortunately, outweighs the good. So it's very honorable, but I don't think that you have to have a religion or be affiliated with some kind of a church or God or something to do good.
Yeah. So I'm interested in some of the work you do at Ateistisk Selskab, because right now you have been doing for a long time, like running this campaign to get people to leave folk church.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's not to get them to leave, it's to offer them a possibility to leave, because we heard many stories that people misunderstood how easy it was to get out of the church, and sometimes they perhaps experience some obstruction of the local priest or whatever. They needed some papers and that was difficult, and really there was a lack of knowledge of how to get out of the church if you wanted to. So it's just a tool to help people to get out. And what's good about it is that, well, we were right, because a lot of people have taken the opportunity to think about it, and some of them has gotten out of the church on that behalf.
So, Morten, is it a good thing what they're doing at Atheistisk Selskab?
Yeah, to be honest, I told Simon about it. I think I might not represent everybody in the church in that sense. I think it's a good idea. I think he's doing a good thing because, no one wants radical religions, and we don't want radical religions. We don't want sectarian. He spent most of his life in Jehovah's Witnesses. Ooh, if I spend most of it, I think he's doing an excellent job. I told him sometimes the wrong people are leaving. The wrong people who need the most comfort are leaving because of, their life situations. And I would prefer that some other people were leaving, and not the ones who actually are the most vulnerable. Young guys. We know that young guys are the ones who are leaving the churches. They are the majority of the people who are leaving. But the whole discussion, I think, and as Simon said to me, yeah, we stir up the church, and I think that's right. I think this campaign should not just be about the Danish Folkekirken, but it should be like the free churches, but also Islam. We need that discussion. We need that discussion. And is this really worthwhile? Is this a good religious system that you are in? Does it make any difference? Does it improve your life? Does it improve our life? So I think it's always good to have that discussion. I think all theologians, real theologians, are religious critics. I'm brought up as a religious critic. He's brought up in a system where you're not allowed to criticize religion. I'm brought up in a system where religious criticism is extremely important to avoid all kind of misuse. I think religion is the best and the worst in life. But you're absolutely right, it's also the worst. And I think we need sound, good discussions. And therefore, I think, I say you're most welcome. And I think it's nice that we have this discussion.
Yeah, so Arena, you're one of those people who used to be a Muslim and now you're an atheist. Why is that?
I grown up in a Muslim family, so it was quite normal to raise like a Muslim kid. But when I start thinking about what's my aim in life and what's the role of religion in my life, I figured out that even without religion, I can still be someone who has a big purpose in life. And I figured out that I don't really need a religion to be a useful person, a useful citizen in a society. And I began questioning the principle of Islam, and I figured out that it's not what I really believe. So it was started when I questioned the religion that was dominated the society.
Yeah. So I guess the big question today is, we have religion, and do we really need religion in a modern society on a personal level and on a societal level doing social work? And let's start with you, Morten.
Well, as I said, religion is the best and the worst. I don't think you can get around it. I think it's. You can, of course, ask the question: do we really need religion? It's like, do we really need our mother? For most people, it's very hard to comprehend life. It's all the questions that we somehow. Religion means to tie together, and it's kind of tying meaning together. Why am I living? What is the purpose of this whole mysterious setup that I'm put into? And religion, of course, is an answer to that. And I think it's very hard to get around religion in the sense that we are all religious. You are religious. We are all religious in the sense that we do not know the answers. Do we need systems? Do we need very strong belief systems? I don't know. I think I would tend to say religious systems kind of misuses people a lot. And I'm always afraid of too strong systems. I like the Danish folkekirken, because it's a very broad say. We have all sorts of people in the church, and that's nice. I'm always afraid of radicalism. I'm always afraid of, but people do get radical. So the question is, what do we put instead? And I think that's also a very important question. What do we put instead?
Well, I have to say, as a former Jehovah's Witness, I was a fundamentalist.
Yeah.
And being as such, I wouldn't consider you, no offense, the normal Danish Christian religious. It's more like a cultural, cozy thing. But I think that religion, in even how watered down it may be, is a thing that we would best leave behind, because it's a matter of the evolution or the civilization. I think, next year we are going to celebrate the Reformation of the Church. I think we should celebrate the Enlightenment period even more, because all the humanistic values that we have, that's what we build our society on now, not the Christian values. We have a cultural heritage from Christianity in Denmark, but the important values in this country is like democracy, it's equality across gender, sexual orientation, even religion. You can't find those values anywhere in the Bible, for example. And even then, we have politicians who think it's important to state that Denmark is a Christian country. It's a Christian nation. And some of them has the answer to the threat of Islamism, that the answer is Christianity. I would say the problem is religion, and especially radicalized religion, fundamentalism. So the answer cannot be another religion. The frontier is between religion, irrationality, and humanism.
Yeah.
Humanism.
I guess he's quite right. I mean, the democratic values, the liberal values that Europe is being known for is a counterpoint to the Islamism. It's a way to fight fundamentalism and Islamism, not really another religion. And he's right in a sense that Denmark, known for its democratic values rather than Christian work. I'm saying this like a person that came from Middle East, came from a Muslim countries. What Europe is known for, and what people look at the Europe as an ideal society. It's democratic values, it's liberal values that we appreciate most, and we want to see Europe as a model for our society.
But there, finally, I completely disagree with these two, and it's nice because I really think we need Jesus. To be honest, I really think we need Jesus, because he was a reformist. He said no to all the systems. He said no to the Jews who wanted to. And I do not agree with you that there's no equality. Jesus' movement was a female movement. There was all these women around him, and he accepted women as equals. He accepted, he said, it's not the question what you say, it's what you do. It's your inner life who's really important. And I think Jesus was an incredible reformer, and I think we need somehow, I'm not saying I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus, but and I'm not saying that you could not, there's no other ways to being equal, have a modern society, but I think Jesus somehow made it possible. And I sometimes we forget that we need somehow someone who can actually break the system, which is outside of me. Because, to be honest, I'm not so sure that you're humanistic. My teacher in ethics at the old university, he said, culture is the nail polish that hides the claws of an animal. Culture is a furniture. If we are pressed enough, we are all animals. And I think we need somehow very strong systems to make, or very strong belief in, and for me that's Christ, who says, no, you should turn the other cheek. You know, you should not punch back. And we need some of that. And you know, there could be others who said that. Nelson Mandela, but he was, by the way, also Christian. You know, but we need somehow people who actually do what they say, who are trustworthy, and who can be kind of a mirror for me to be what is a good life. And I think we lack those people.
I think that if you need Christ or God or something, you know, it's a belief, it's a faith. I would call it, I guess, I would call it escapism. Because when you talk to people and they say, what's the meaning of life? Why am I here? I think what helped me was to find out that there's no answer to those questions, because those questions are somehow meaningless. It's silly questions, because there is no meaning.
But I think they're necessary questions. I agree with you that you could, if we sat down in a corner and closed our eyes, there were no meaning. Meaning is something that we invent. We invent the meaning.
Yeah, in our own life.
In our own life, yes. And what does, you know, what fuels that? You know, how do you fill that with actually something that can lift your life up? And I agree there are many ways. For me, Christianity and Christ has always been that role model. If I were in doubt, I would look, you know, I would say to me, what would Christ have done in this situation? And I would try to imitate that. And I do agree, I don't like systems. I don't like it. For me, it's also a very personal thing. For me, it's a model. And you can say, okay, I water it out. Yeah, but for me, Christ is still the best image of what I believe life should be all about.
But Paul, then he came and he destroyed what Jesus
absolutely
said.
right. But
so
that's
you
what
disagree
happened.
with that big part of the Bible then?
Well, I disagree with some of it, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think that women should stay silent, as Paul said. Yes, but Paul was exactly part of that time. I think Paul was very radical, Paulus. He was very radical in the sense that he also made huge decisions in his life, but of course he was very human. Like you are human, I'm human. And, you know, the unfortunate thing about people is that sometimes we kind of break the very good things down. You know, we get a pearl in our hand and we turn it into something which is not really nice. But back to the discussion on religion, I still think, and you know, I think it's wonderful you say, because we need somehow people who actually say we don't want people to be tied down in systems. We want them to be free. My only question is that, and doubt is, can we actually fuel that enough also to kind of make Muslims understand that in this country we are free, and we are. Women have equal rights. We have democracy, but how do we maintain that? Because it's under pressure.
With reformation, of course, I guess. So that's the problem with Islam, that it doesn't go to the process of reformation.
Yeah.
So in a country, in a Muslim country, a secular state is the answer, I believe, because I mean, Islam claim very, you know, it has a strong claim for people's life.
But see what happened now. Sorry, but you know, Turkey. What do you think about what happened in Turkey right now? Because we've gone from a secular state, and actually we're going, in my view, backwards.
Well, I believe this is more due to politics rather than it doesn't really arise within the society. Okay. I mean, the society itself, they don't want to go back to Islam. I believe what is happening now in Turkey is that they use not really religion but nationalism for a religious purpose. It's more than that the support for Erdogan now is more nationalistic way. Especially Turkey is a special case because I believe that Turkey for too long was affiliated with Europe. It wasn't like no one looked at Europe as a Middle East state. But then they never could get into the European system quite well, European Union. So they were just so disappointed that they just want to keep themselves as of a part of somewhere, Middle East or Europe. If you refuse me, if Europe refused them, so they start using nationalism, and I guess that's the point. Otherwise, it was a great success for Turkey.
What do you think we should do here about religion, and also, you know, radical religion? What should we do?
I believe I really like the system now as it has, the freedom of religion, but there are some issues that still you cannot find a solution for it. If we are go for freedom of religion, then we have to allow Islamists here to practice their religion, which is okay as a personal issue. But then what if they advocate and advertise for their religion? Otherwise, because the strong claim of religion, especially with Islam, it makes people's life very difficult. Like, how can you say that abortion should not be allowed in a country, in a democratic country? So what happened to the women's right? So that's the problem. I mean, I believe states should interfere. I'm not with this. I mean, there should be a limited freedom to the religion, and the religious institution should be under the monitoring of government. Government should not be neutral and leave this religious institution left alone in the society, because otherwise they will maybe end up with extremism. How can we have like gender equalities? We have gender minorities, we have ethnic minorities. It's just not about religion, but
sexual equality.
Yeah, sexual equality. So I guess there must be a mechanism to control, to monitor religious institution.
I agree with that. I think that the important thing is that religion is a private matter. We can't have it out in the public. We can't have it involved with the political system. And so I agree with that. And we have to marginalize the radical movements or the parallel societies that we do have problems with within Islam in Denmark. I would say that the organization that you represent is also a system who has a problematic history in order to let people live their lives. If you take equality of homosexuals and heterosexuals, we're still not there yet. There's still priests that I pay for through my taxes, even though I'm not a member of the church, who believe that homosexuality can be cured through prayer. And I don't think the problem is that they believe that prayer can do that. The problem is that they think that homosexuality is a thing that should be cured.
Yeah, they look at it as sickness.
It's like up until 1981 that homosexuality could be diagnosed as a psychological disorder. And where does this notion come from, that it's hardly social acceptable to be a homosexual? It's a psychological disease, it's something abnormal, something sinful. I can only think of one thing: religion, the Christianity, because in the Bible homosexuality is condemned. I know you're gonna say that Jesus never spoke of homosexuals, and if you read the New Testament, I agree that if there is something good in there, you can pick it out, a few pearls here and there. It's always Jesus. Yeah. But we still haven't got equality and acceptance of homosexuals in this country. The only reason I can think of is religion.
Yeah, but if you see, I think homophobia is also one of the reasons. But if you look at the religious system, I would still say, I'm 55.
Yeah, but 54. Homophobia, that comes from...
It's also the outcome of...
Sure, well, maybe.
Because
maybe. I think that might be a little, that we simplify it a little. I think there's more to homophobia than just religion.
But if you live in an environment where you have to do the right thing, otherwise you will go to hell almost, just to, draw it up. Then of course you will be a homophobic.
But also, my point was only, if you look, the church was very different 50 years ago than it is today. Yeah. So I think also you have to recognize that actually the church that I represent is able to move and change rather quickly. We've got the Catholics got now a pope which is really trying to change the Catholic Church. And he's going to be, I think he will have a chance to make a major change
He's
in
still
the Catholic
against the
Church.
Contraception.
Yeah. Anyway,
Preaching
just saying,
that contraception will give you AIDS in Africa, you know.
Sure. There's still problems. He cannot solve it, but he's open up for contraception, and which of course is, but he's also
about
up against
time.
a very about time, absolutely. But my point is, how do we make sure that religious system? My point is, I'm not afraid of the Danish folkekirke. It's not going to harm very many anyway, and it's going to help a lot. I'm much more afraid of these kind of Jehovah's Witnesses, some of these Orthodox Jews, radical Muslims, who kind of turn their back to the future and try to find all the answers in the past. And what we do about them. See, that's my point. I'm not afraid of the Danish folkekirke. It's going to change. It takes some time, but it's going to change. But I'm much more afraid of radical Muslims.
I agree with part of your conception, but I mean, when you're saying that we need time to change, but it can work for something that we don't have a solution for. I mean, we can say that we will change as time goes on. We will find a solution, but for example, for homosexual issue, we have this alternative. We have these liberal values that they give this freedom for everyone, and everyone will end up happy, except for religious people. Well, so why should we wait for something that we already have the solution in the society?
But in my church, we're not waiting. We are already accepting homosexuals. Absolutely, not all pass, but a lot of them. So there's plenty of opportunities for homosexuals. So we are already there. But
perhaps
most
you could
of our
raise the level of ambition a little bit.
My question is not don't pick on the best ones. Try to figure out what do we do about the worst ones.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the problem with religion is that there are so many ways to interpret religion within Islam, within Christianity. You say that some people within Christianity, they accept homosexual and others they don't. We have the same thing, although there are numerous and the number is much less, but we have the same in Islam. I mean, I heard...
How do you promote that then? Because I have so many Muslim people in Kirkens Korshær, a lot of young Muslims, and they all hate homosexuals. They're all against. I've never met one who actually says, I think that's okay. So I think there's a long way there, and my question is, how do I actually help them to understand the Danish society? Because I'm afraid that these people, they come to Denmark because they want the freedom. But the whole inner setting is like they cannot accept the freedom.
But you cannot show them the Bible because they can show the scriptures perhaps where it condemns homosexuality. So what Atheistisk Selskab does is to try politically to show religion its right place in society. And that of course goes for Islamistic, radicalistic movements, Jehovah's Witnesses as well, from my point of view. And the church needs to abandon some of its privileges that it has today. So it's not either or. It's religion as in a broad term.
This is so interesting, but we kind of have to stop now. I just want to end with one question: church and state, should it be separated?
No, I think it would be. We'll go from bad to worse.
Yes. And I think actually the church would be much more cool if you were in the church, because people who were there, they would actually want to be there.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I guess this way people, all of these minorities, ethnic, sexual minorities and religious minorities will end up happy. Yeah.
Super. Thank you so much for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Arina Moradi, Simon Ørgaard,
Welcome.
and Morten Aagaard. Thank you.